Do you find it hard to trust people? Do you also find it difficult to trust yourself and how to make the right choice with your relationships? In this video, I'm going to talk about trust, its origins, how we're designed to trust, and how we can start to learn to trust ourselves a little bit better. Trust was born a very long time ago. When we existed as tribes thousands of years ago, we had these tight-knit groups of 50 people or less, where we had to trust each other. We had to hunt, we had to gather, we had to procreate, and we had to essentially keep the peace and organize also if there were other impending tribes coming to dominate and conquer us. There was also a very important tradition that seems to be lost today, and that is the rite of passage. If you look back on Aboriginals are the oldest civilization continuous to today, and they still have rites of passage. You may know it as a walkabout. A walkabout was this transition of a boy turning into man, being cast out into the wilderness and having to rely on his own skills, to trust himself in order to survive from everything he learned from his parents and from the tribe. When the boy is successfully able to make his way back to the tribe because he's been sent out for up to 6 months at a time, and he comes back, he becomes a man because he's successfully shown that he can carry his own weight, and he knows how to trust his own abilities and eventually start a family, possibly lead the tribe, and carry on the traditions. Now, these days, we've all but lost our rites of passage. And also, we don't really have a tribe anymore. We've kind of brought our tribe down to the nuclear family. What do you see these days? It's a mother, a father, and then any combination of children. So we don't really have the kind of transitional doorways or gateways that bring us from our childhood into our adulthood. And with that, we've lost the teaching of certain values that are so important for our survival. And more importantly, to engage in the social sphere. Now, the nuclear family has essentially two models of parenting. One is ownership, this idea of you are my child, so you do what I say. And that comes with its own set of issues, like lots of issues. And these issues are generational because we've inherited the social norms and culturing of our parents. We inherit that from their parents before, and so on and so forth in perpetuity. The problem with that is that there's not this consensus of elders directing the child and giving them this wisdom. You essentially have one parent on each side. You have a mother and you have a father. And what they say goes. And if your parent had a problem trusting other people, then just by their example, you're going to inherit that in some way, shape, or form. Ownership parenting fosters often a sense of trust me and love me and I love you. Or I love you, so love me back. And there's this kind of reciprocal emotional dependence. One toxic behavior in ownership parenting is coddling or overprotection, smothering, or what you might hear as helicopter parenting. And that's the idea that a parent wants their child to be so safe that they overprotect him and they don't allow the child to go out and make their own mistakes so they can get some cuts and scrapes and learn how to not do that thing again. Because one of the fundamental steps in learning to trust oneself is making mistakes and learning how to not repeat those same mistakes. But when a parent doesn't let the child do that, keeps them at home, keeps them inside, keeps them in daycare, backyard, doesn't let them go out and play with the other kids, I understand that it's kind of a crazy world sometimes, but part of the mistrust is with the parent showing the child that it's not okay to go out and make those mistakes. So in turn, the child grows up with this idea that it's not okay to trust the world and to trust people. And of course, there's a balance with that. We have to learn to trust the right people. But that's where calibrating our own self-trust comes in. So there's another dynamic of parenting, and that is the mode of sovereignty parenting, fostering a sense of self-reliance in the child. Sovereignty was actually introduced through the rite of passage. So one knows they're a man or a woman, and they're now imbued with this innate sense of self and the ability to take care of oneself. Because everything, when you look at it, centers around you. Everything starts with yourself. Your whole worldview is your worldview. It's nobody else's worldview. So we want to blame other people. We want to not trust other people. But it really starts with ourselves. When we have these faulty modes of parenting, which is no fault of our parents because they just didn't know better. They did what they learned, and they thought that was the right thing because they looked up to their parents. We all look up to our parents at a certain age. And then eventually, some of us start to see them for either who they truly are or for things that we might resent about them subconsciously because we've actually taken on those traits. So if you have trust issues, it generally comes down to when you were a child and you had this unmet need, this inability to trust your own instincts, trust your own ability to go out into the world and be confident in your job, in your relationships, who you choose to be friends with, because when it comes down to it, the world that you create, the people around you are the representation of your own values. I know that one kind of hurts, and it hurt me for a very long time, because when I was in certain relationships and I had certain friendships, I realized that I couldn't actually trust them when it came down to it. So I had to reevaluate who I was and what my values were. So in order to create self-trust, we have to start relying more on our senses, paying attention to what's going on in the moment. We talk about awareness, we talk about presence, all of these great enlightened terms, but really it comes down to being able to feel your senses in a specific moment. Especially when you're out in the world, you meet somebody new. Oftentimes we're in our head thinking about, okay, do I like this person? Do they like me? We're not feeling what's going on down here. Maybe the butterflies in the stomach, maybe some kind of constriction going on in the chest or in the stomach. And it's those signs that are telling us something about this person. I like to use this practice. Is it heavy or is it light? When you're in a certain situation, or if you're trying to figure something out, to trust if something is right for you, say to yourself, okay, does this feel heavy or does it feel light? And what that does is it gives you a sense of grounding into your body so you can feel maybe where that's going on. If it feels like it's elevating, then maybe it's something good. If it feels constricting or it feels heavy, feels hot, then it's probably something you should pay attention to and maybe not engage yourself in. A couple of practices I recommend for getting back into the body, calibrating a better sense of self-awareness within your grounded 5 senses, is exercise. Now, exercise is obvious. You're feeling your heart rate elevating, your breath is changing, you're constricting your muscles, you're feeling elevated blood flow all over the place, and it's just overall great. Now, one of the practices I do, which is a whole methodology of exercise, is core strengthening. Core strengthening by way of engaging the muscles around your abdomen helps to build a healthier sense of emotional stability. So many of us have basically no stability in our core. So if you can do anything, some of the best exercises I recommend that are full body workouts are squats and deadlifts. Any weightlifter or anyone who's been in the gym for long enough will tell you those are excellent, but make sure you have good form. That's another conversation in itself. Now, the second practice I recommend is meditation, specifically body sensation, body scan meditation. You can also watch my video, 5 tips on how to get out of your head and into your body. I share with you 5 great ways to actively engage what's going on with your five senses so you can have a better calibration and a better sense of self-trust within you. So when you have a situation that arises, a social engagement, a job interview, whatever it is, you'll have a better attunement to what's going on down here, and most importantly, accept that this is an impermanent thing that you're going through. It's a passing feeling. Another amazing, but sometimes difficult, actually most of the time difficult practice, is to differentiate the voice in the head from the voice in the heart. Now, I had a friend who used to say, "This is the cockpit, this is the captain." And it really is true. But the problem is, this voice is way louder than this voice. And we have to really be able to sit in silence so we can actually start to listen to the whisper in here, rather than the absolute bonkers voice here. That process is generally done in meditation or some kind of quiet contemplation. All you have to do is sit and start to focus on what's going on down in the body, and specifically in the heart. If you can give yourself a little bit of space, a little bit of quiet, and start to tune in to what's going on down here, you'll be able to start hearing some of the intention, some of your deeper awareness coming in and telling you information. It's actually quite amazing what you might be able to realize when you start bringing your attention down here into the heart, opening up the heart space, instead of letting this crazy drunk monkey brain rattle around and give you orders all day. The more you can start to bring your attention out of here and bring your focus and concentration down here into your heart and into your body, there's this inner awareness and wisdom that starts to come up and unravel and bubble up to the surface. It's really uncanny and incredible what kind of insights you may get from just tuning into what's going on in your heart and into your body. Now, another thing I touched on just for a moment earlier was the practice of tuning into your body specifically in moments of potential stress. When I started doing this video, I had all kinds of different things coming up for me because I haven't done so many of these videos, and it's really a learned process of me trusting talking to you in front of the camera. So in social situations, particularly, it's sometimes hard for us to be able to say the right thing or to be able to feel comfortable when we're meeting people, specifically when we're trying to differentiate who we like, who we don't like, who we want to trust and who we don't want to trust. And that really starts with honoring what emotions are associated to different sensations in the body. You may have a constriction that comes up in your neck, in your chest, in your stomach. Anything that's giving you a sense of unease is something that you should absolutely pay attention to, especially if it feels heavy. Now, if it feels light and you can feel like yourself with somebody, then there's that wisdom coming in and telling you that it's okay to be free and open and trust that person. Emotions can be tricky, but if you can find the ability to pay attention to your emotions and observe them rather than just giving in to them, they offer their own intelligence that you can pay attention to, and you can start to extrapolate certain information. Say you're getting fear of something or you're feeling apprehension of some sort. If you can connect that to that sensation in your body, oftentimes you're going to be able to better trust and gauge whether some interaction, whether some potential danger is in front of you or not. This is what's also known as intuition, the ability to take in information and pull the most important pieces out of it in order to see a greater picture or really what it is you need to get from a situation. So these are just some of the things that you can start to practice as a way of cultivating better self-trust. Now, be patient with yourself, because this is not an overnight process. And especially if you've learned from a very long time ago in childhood that it's not okay to trust people, or you can't trust yourself, you don't feel confidence in certain environments, then it's going to take a while to get this stuff down. As you start to practice some of these methods I shared with you, you're gonna have a better time trusting yourself. And because you can trust yourself, you'll be able to trust yourself in environments, in your social engagements, your relationships, in your job, and your ability to go out into the world and be successful. So that's all I got for you today. I trust this video could give you at least some nugget of truth and something you can implement in your life. If you got value from this video, please give me a like and subscribe. I'm going to be doing more videos as I go, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Thank you so much, and I'll see you soon.